Hi, hello everybody, and welcome here to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to a series here looking at sparkling wines of Spain. And we are looking at a seven-parter, majority on Cava, with the last video looking at other sparkling wines of Spain. So let's talk about the location and the history behind Cava to begin with. Here you will see a map of the Iberian Peninsula, and we of course are focusing just on this part on Spain, and I'm highlighting some of the key geographical locations we find Cava. So I'm going to go through those subzones in part 2 in great detail with a lovely Google Earth video to bring it to life for you. So we are going to be talking about those subzones being really stretched across the country. It's not just in one area. It's quite unusual for a PDO, a protected designation of origin, in Europe to have such a non-contiguous look to its landscape. So the wine production is regulated and overseen by the Consejo Regulador del Cava, and traditionally, the wines were made from three varieties: Macabeo, Charello, and Barada as well. So our three main grapes, but there's more to it today than just those three. Some varieties you may know, like Chardonnay, are increasingly used in blends, and there are also a bit of a focus with the more autochthonous local grape varieties around areas like Catalonia, for example. A little bit on the history. So, traditional method sparkling wines have been made in Spain since around the middle of the 19th century. In fact, 1872 is where it all starts to kick off. And this was principally in or close to the city of Barcelona. And of course, we know that's in Catalonia in northeast Spain. Now, Saint Sadurní d'Anoia produces the first bottles. This is a municipality located close to Barcelona, and this is where we have a traditional method production, so the second fermentation in the bottle. The early pioneers included members of the Ferrer and Raventos families, who founded Freixenet and Cordenou groups, respectively. These two companies, of course, being at the forefront of this embryonic but emerging industry, of course, mean that today they are the two biggest producers in the area. Now, Josef Raventos y Facho, that you see in your bottom left there, is often accredited with creating the first sparkling wine, calling it champagne or champagne. So basically the Catalan way of saying champagne. In 1888, Manuel Raventos Domenech, which was Joseph's son, created sparkling wine from those three famed grape varieties, Macabeo, Charello, and Barada. And they are considered today the really holy trinity of Cava production in terms of the grape varieties. So going into the early 20th century, Cava begins to, of course, gain recognition, and specifically royal recognition. There was a visit by King Alfonso XIII to Penedès, and that really was symbolic and very significant, as it then started to elevate the recognition of Cava, of course, within this market. It elevated also the category of Cava, or champagne as it was called then, Catalan champagne, to a much higher quality level. In the middle of the 20th century, in 1959, the Cava name appears for the first time on an official document. The word Cava began to be used more informally in the 1960s, and that's because the industry recognized it would need a generic term for traditional method sparkling wines on the journey towards Spain's eventual membership into the European Union. And of course, once joined within the European Union, there comes a bit of a problem because we already have champagne from Champagne, so we can't just call it Spanish or Catalan champagne. I throw this in for good measure because it's quite an interesting fact. In the 1970s, so this is really in this burgeoning industry for what we are now calling Cava, there was something created called a girasol, which are the precursors to gyropalettes from France. And that's, of course, these machines you'll see in this picture, which were used and are still used today to expedite the rather long and arduous riddling process. Here are some older versions you'll see in this picture, but today they are pretty much all steel. So one can say that Catalunya was really the creator, the innovator for utilizing this system. And then, of course, it started to take root in other places. Now, part 1, this video, and part 2 are available as free content, but all the other parts are only available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning portal. And if you do have any comments or questions, please do get in touch by social media you see at the bottom of every slide, or by commenting on this video below. Perhaps you like Cava. What do you think about its position in the traditional method sparkling wines of the world? Does it compete with champagne, with English sparkling wine, Franciacorta, and so on? Have you been to one of the Cava producing areas such as Catalunya? Please do get in touch. Now, Cava became enshrined in Spanish law in 1972 as a protected denomination for sparkling wines made, of course, by the traditional method. When Spain joined the European Union in 1986, Cava was recognized as a quality sparkling wine produced in specific regions. In 1989, the European Union authorities gave it PDO status, Protected Designation of Origin, and that's named after a wine rather than the place, which of course the place is much more common. So that's an unusual fact straight off the bat. Now, in 1991, new regulations are approved in the ministerial order of the 14th of November of that year. The current regulations of the PDO, or the DO of Cava, and its regulatory operations as well, its council. So new regulations came in play. I'll talk about them later on in the series. In 2015, so in recent modern times, we really do have some quite sweeping changes happening to the DO of Cava. A new category is established called Cava de Paraje Calificado. You'll see up here, Paraje Calificado. Now, a recognition of the singularity and excellence of really exceptional vineyards. So this is where grape growers, winemakers are focusing on single plots of very, very high quality. So these are often small, high quality, demarcated plots. In 2017, there is further recognition of particular Paraje Calificados within the Cava Protected Designation of Origin. I will go through these later as well. In 2020, the DO of Cava started a bit of a rebirth or rebrand, and the Cava Regulatory Council unanimously approved the new zoning and quality segmentation of the Cava DO. And that's in order to protect the uniqueness and authenticity of the product and to improve traceability, quality traceability. In 2022, the new quality wine labeling seals were launched. You'll see them here. Above where it says DO Cava, these wonderful shiny regulatory labels. And this is a further step to clearly identify the different categories. Harder to see it here on this picture, but you do see terms like, there's nothing here, but then Reserva and things like the Gran Reserva. So this is all in order to highlight their diversity and their richness across the category. The DO of Cava is also moving to more organic production for, of course, a more sustainable and respectful world. It is committed to 100% organic production in the Guarda Superior segment from 2025. So, of course, your middle and right label here on this one. But we will go through the categories later on. Okay, well, that brings me to a conclusion of this introduction and a look at the history of Cava. Next, we really get into the geography, looking at the subzones and grape growing within those areas. Please do join me for that next video. It's a bit of free content as well. Please remember, though, any parts after part 2 will be only accessible for those of you who subscribe to my e-learning portal. And of course, those details at the bottom of the slide and in the notes section, description section of the video. If you do have any comments and questions as well, please do pop them down there. Always lovely to hear from you about your experiences with all of these slides. Do you like them? And also, of course, your experiences with the topic at hand, like Cava. Thank you very much for stopping by, and please do come and see me in England for a class, a glass, or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Goodbye.